Good morning, ladies. Okay, so this here is a much needed video. After reading some of the comments in the comment section, again, this is not to bash anyone. It's not to single anyone's comment out. However, there was about last week there was a back and forth conversation that was going on, and I read every one of them. And eventually the person that made the comment from the beginning that was talking towards me, she eventually, I guess, deleted her comment, which of course deleted all the other comments. So I normally don't go in a back and forth conversation. However, I am bringing this video to you to let y'all ladies know that for those that did comment, I understand. I know how you feel, and we must understand that some people just do not understand because they're not in that situation. Again, this is not to bash out anyone. Everybody's comment is welcome. Those that understand, those that do not understand, those that can conceive naturally, and those that have to conceive using IUI or IVF. I want to begin and start off with kind of addressing some of the information or part of the comment that was left to kind of enlighten and inform those that may not understand the whole concept. Although some people that do not struggle with infertility follow our channels, and I mean the IVF and infertility community, they somewhat are well aware of the struggle and are well aware of how sensitive this subject is, whether it's with friends, family, even spouses, and self. So basically this video is to I can't even get my words. I have so much I want to say, but this is to address some of those responses that I read from those that may have outside looking in. Now, there are many that some of my friends or some close people that I know of that they know me very well. They know my struggle. They know me a little bit more personal, on a more personal level than YouTube. So they know how to address me. They know how to speak to me and so forth, and I love them for that. There are some that commented that that mentioned that they will never know that struggle. However, they respect that struggle, and so there's a difference. And the only reason why I'm coming to y'all with this video is because when someone like myself, but when there's someone that's trying to when there's someone like me that's trying to defend this IVF journey, or IVF route, or whatever you want to call it, or infertility journey, and then you have someone else that's kind of making comments in a sense of stating that about your faith and about God and stuff like that. That's when it becomes a little bit more personal, on a personal level. And although I understand that when a comment is left for me, that it's supposed to be for me, but it will affect and it will kind of upset others that have followed this journey and are frustrated because they've tried to have kids. That's been their desire. They've been praying about it. They've been spending funds on getting pregnant, and they've even had loss or multiple losses. And this, like I said, I'm spitting, this subject is a very sensitive subject. So when it comes to comments or when it comes to replies, I just want to remind everyone that this is a very sensitive subject. You wouldn't go to someone that had cancer and say, you know, oh girl, well that's just what it is for you. You know, that's the cards that God planned for you. You know, just got to deal with it. You know, and so I mean, so you have to take this, and you have to look at it as if this like it was mentioned before. This is our journey. This is our struggle. You know, and you know, it's such a overlooked subject. It's such an overlooked subject. It's so overlooked. I feel like it's starting to be a little bit more out there, because before I even started this journey, I didn't even know what a rainbow baby was. I didn't even know what IVF stood for. I didn't know what an IUI was. I didn't know none of this stuff. And so until you actually step foot on this journey, I feel like there needs to be a sense of what's the word I want to use, a sense of respect for this particular journey. So anywho, in regards to that little intro, IVF for some is not a choice. A person that conceives natural will never understand that IVF is not a choice. It's not a choice when a baby, when that's the desire of your heart. Those that, let's say, they desire to become a doctor, they have to go through school, lots of school, over and over and over. That is not a choice, because the desire is to become a doctor. So whatever your desire is, sometimes to get to that point, you don't have a choice on that road that you have to go on, if that's your desire, you know. So this video is to help those that can conceive naturally understand our views of having no choice but to do IVF. This is not a video, again, to bash anyone or anyone's way of thinking, instead giving insight on how us women see the situation from our point of view. This was done, I typed this 2 days, this was on July 25th. I don't know if y'all can see that. July 25th. And I wrote this. This was July 25th. I wrote this. This was at 9:40 a.m. because it was on my mind. When I was reading some of the comments, I literally had to address that. Just know that anytime that there's going to be a lady with IVF, I'm having to do an IVF or have an infertility situation, I am always going to back them up 100%. Just as you would with the gay community, they will back theirs up 100%. When you're part of a community and you're part of that struggle, you're going to back that person up 100%, because you know what they're experiencing and you know what they're feeling. So to begin with, to kind of go into detail, like I said, this is more of a let me show you, or let me explain to you how we feel type video, so that way you know. So the first thing I'm going to go over is an IUI. I know it's been thought that if you're experiencing IVF and you know you spend all this money on it, you can't afford it, why don't you do IVF? I mean, why don't you do IUI? I'm sorry. So I'm going to read the definition. I know what an IUI is without reading the definition. However, I'm going to go ahead and read this one here. Okay, so IUI is a fertility treatment that involves placing sperm inside a woman's uterus to facilitate fertilization. The goal of IUI is to increase the number of sperm that reach the fallopian tubes and subsequently, I can't speak this morning, subsequently increase the chance of fertilization. With this here, you have to have fallopian tubes. So although this may be a cheaper route to get to your blessing and desire, your heart's desire, there is no possible way, scientifically, again, and the way God's anatomy, how he created us to conceive, the fallopian tubes have to be present for IUI to happen, because when they put in the sperm, it's the perfect timing of when you're ovulating, and basically the sperm has to go through and swim through your fallopian tube, because that's where they meet, and that's where the sperm fertilizes the egg. Then once it becomes, you know, the embryo, once it goes through those stages and it comes down the fallopian tube, it then can implant to your uterus. In regards to telling someone, you know, hey, you can definitely try other routes, you can do IUI, you know, that's not an option for me. That's never been an option once I lost my fallopian tubes, okay? I could have kept my fallopian tubes and been in pain my entire life, and could have bled and then needed blood transfusion because I bled so much, because I had horrible fibroids, and then my fallopian tubes were all jacked up. So I could have went that route and been in pain my whole entire life, and bled and had horrible periods and so forth. But I chose to reach out to doctors that I'm so blessed that God gave the sense and knowledge to be able to perform those things. I'm so blessed that he did, because Lord, I am pain free from those periods, that bleeding, that horrible. I've been having the worst periods since I had my first period at 14. So for me to have relief at the first part of the relief was at age like 23 or 24. The next time I had relief was at about age 30, because I'm 32 now, about to be 33. So praise God and thank God for doctors. So that's an IUI. IVF definition. IVF is a reproductive technology in which an egg is removed from a woman, joined with a sperm cell from a man in a test tube. The cells fuse to form a single cell called a zygote, which then starts dividing, becoming an embryo. So basically the IVF procedure, what they do in their science lab is they go ahead and do the things that's supposed to take place in the fallopian tubes. So that's what IVF is, and that's the one that I have to do and that I have done in the past and became pregnant. So that's the one that I had to do. So with that being said, it's a lot that I want to say. However, I don't think there's a need to put out too much, because there's maybe a handful that maybe will never understand. There's a handful that will attempt and try to understand, and then there's us that really say, you know what, this desire of my heart, regardless of how you feel and how others feel, I am determined to get this done, and so forth. So I'm trying my best to refrain from being too direct on anyone's personal comments or their personal thoughts. Everyone is entitled to their opinion and their thoughts. I'm going to give some analogies of what I feel when someone says it's your choice, and when people on the outside looking in, that's never experienced this journey, when they say, you know, God, when they say, I'm getting all kind of messages. So when they say, you know, oh, there's other routes, and so forth. Yes, there are other ways. However, I feel like after you've exhausted all your options, then yes, seek adoption, which adoption is just as costly. There are programs that I know of that adoption would cost about $3,500, but that's only if they are going through a lawyer and if there's a family member that's willing to give their child up for adoption. So yes, there are different programs. However, any route that you go through is going to be costly, whether you adopt, whether you try to conceive naturally, and that's pretty much it. Those only two options pretty much, going through this whole infertility route. of IVF, IUI, and so forth, or adoption. Those are the only two if you're trying to conceive, with scientific methods or whatnot. So I'm gonna give a couple of analogies of how I think when someone tells me wait on God and see what he does, especially the ones that have no fallopian tubes or ovaries or whatever the case may be, because you never know every situation is a tad bit different. There's a lot of that are similar, but there's a tad bit that are different. That's like telling someone that is born without legs, or let's say they got into an accident and their legs were removed. That's like telling them, although you desire to walk again, wait on God to fix it, because that's a lot of money and that's your choice. However, that's their desire to walk again. Or it's like telling someone, and they have to go to a doctor, of course, to get that part done. It's like telling someone that that can't see, just wait on God. Just wait and see if God, that's the path that God have you on. When you can go to a doctor and get prescribed some glasses or contacts, or even now laser surgery that you can just be able to see. That's like that's like telling when someone has a child and let's say they're born with a handicap or something. That's like saying, let's just let God see what he's going to do. Let's not go spend money for them to be able to have prosthetics or to have a wheelchair, or for them to just fix this one little thing, or the hole. Sometimes that babies are born with a hole in their heart. No, let's just let's see what God does when you have experts and doctors to be able to close that up, and do the things they have to do to fix it. There's so many analogies that I can go through, and so forth, but I don't want to sit here and go through every single one of them. It's so hard. This subject is just so hard because I am really walking on eggshells with this conversation, and I'm trying to be as liberal and as respectful as I possibly can in regards to that. And I feel like it's just things I need to go ahead and just get out there and just discuss or whatnot. I'm being nosy, y'all. So anyway, next. So once we get on that and we talk about that, we get on the subject of faith. We get on the subject of God. That's a very touchy subject, and I was going to make a totally separate video, but I feel like that kind of ties in with this video here. I know many people that have lost family members, friends, not as in a death, but have lost them to a sense of no longer communicating because they feel like if you can't have kids naturally, that's God's way of saying you're not supposed to have them. Or that's your situation and that's what God intended for you. Maybe God didn't want you to have kids. I've heard it all. And the way I feel about that is that this here, I'm going to first read this because a lot of people sit and say you need to have faith that it's going to happen. I feel like you can have faith that it's going to happen no matter how you go through it or how you make it happen. So everybody heard this. It's called, it's faith without works is dead. James chapter 2 verses 14 through 26 and so on. But the part that I'm going to read is 14 through 17. Just to kind of, y'all can go and read the rest on your own time. So anyway, what does it profit, my brethren, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister is naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you says to them, depart in peace, be warmed and filled, but you do not give them the things which are needed for the body, what does it profit? Thus also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. to get a degree, you have to go to school every day, right? You can't just say, Lord, never have, you know, it's never worked that way. God, I'm praying, I have faith that I'm gonna have long hair, whatever, you know. Doesn't work that way. There's people that, guess what, you can go buy weave now. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait to get long hair. You know, I'm just, you know, I'm trying to be as joyful making this video as possible, so excuse me. Faith without works is dead. You can have faith all day that you're going to conceive. It has happened for many. Those of you that had to wait 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and then God decided to bless you. Until you're 90 years old. We know the books in the Bible. You know, we don't have to cite them and keep going over them. We understand that there were a few women in the book of the Bible, a few books of the Bible, that had to wait until they're 90 years old. Had to wait. I understand that. However, most of those books that says that, it does not say that they didn't have fallopian tubes, they didn't have ovaries and stuff like that. I feel like God has created science or scientists to study these things for people to be able to reach out and get things done. That's my belief. Again, my belief, my opinion, my thoughts. That's just like, you know, you're pregnant and you say, you know what, I'm gonna have this baby naturally, I'm gonna have it at home, because I don't believe in doctors. I'm not gonna ever, the whole pregnancy, you know, you get pregnant naturally, the whole pregnancy, I'm not gonna see a doctor. I'm just not gonna see a doctor. I'm not gonna go to an appointment. I'm not going to check and see if the baby's good, because I have faith that everything's good. Fine. Then you get, you know, to where you're getting ready to, you know, have the baby. Then you go home, you at home, you know, and you're trying to have the baby or whatever or whatnot, and guess what? Things just they're not progressing like they should, you know, like they should be. And you have no choice but to go to the doctor. Do you lay there and say, you know what, I'm just gonna have faith that God put me through, and just lay there and nothing progresses? You're in all this pain, the baby hasn't come out, you've been in labor for over 3 or 4 days, you know, you're about to wear yourself out, you're almost dead, and you have this attitude of, you know what, I have faith that God's gonna come through. And I understand there's people with that faith that just, you know, hey, I have faith that this is gonna happen, and that's just what it is. I'm not gonna let doctors intervene. You know, some of those, you know, yes, it happened, and some of those, you know, it don't happen, you know. And so anyway, that's just like, you know, like I said, then you have to go to the hospital, you know, and then you have to have the doctors intervene and assist you, and maybe you have to have a C-section. There's so many people back in the day that died due to going through labor because they didn't have doctors and so forth that can perform a C-section, you know. And I'm just so thankful and so grateful that we have doctors that have studied and went to school all these years to perfect the anatomy of the body. You know, no, I'm not gonna say perfect, because you know, it's not so much that that they know everything about the body, but they know enough to get things accomplished of how you want it to be accomplished. You know, I'm not saying, oh, you should go and get a boob job because there's scientists and God can give you breasts. No, not like that, you know. But I'm saying in the sense that faith without works is dead. You have to perform as you pray. That's just, I mean, it's just so many different scenarios, you know, and so forth. And I know there are those that struggle with different things. This has been pretty much the only struggle that I've had. Okay, I think I mentioned that before in the last video. This is pretty much the only struggle that I've had thus far, and that I've had in my life. My whole life was pretty much smooth sailing, you know, and I thank God for that. This has been a challenging journey where I know that God has been teaching me to depend on him, that he's going to make a way. And what I mean by make a way is that he is going to supply the financial need for me to become pregnant, for me to go to the doctors and get it taken care of, for me to experience this journey so I can help the next young lady that's battling with the decision of, oh, my family says that I should depend on God. However, I just had a surgery that removed everything that I need but my uterus to get pregnant. So what do I do? So I am that voice that says, you know, until you've walked a mile in our shoes, be more sensitive to the journey itself. And like I said, there are some that commented that have conceived naturally. I have a lot of followers that have conceived naturally, and they almost all of them support and understand the journey to a certain extent. Of course, nobody's going to understand until you put in that situation. You know, people that never had cancer would never understand what it feels like to go through chemotherapy, to want to get better, to want to live a normal life. Those that struggle with diabetes, someone that never struggled with diabetes will never understand why you can't have just a single slice of cake, why you can't eat certain fruits because there's so much sugar, why you can't eat all this bread. Someone that's never been overweight, like myself. I've never been overweight. Even during my pregnancies, you know, I've never been overweight. I would never understand someone that says they want, you know, to get what is it called, the band or whatnot, you know, or whatever, I forgot what it's called or whatnot. You know, I would never understand that because I've never set foot. So I understand that you would never understand this journey. However, I do respect the woman that says, hey, I want to get this surgery because, you know, I've tried to lose weight. You know, I've tried to work out. You know, I've prayed about it and blah, 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 blah. And I've seen people that overcame obesity by getting this particular surgery. So I can't sit here and knock them and say, you know what, you need to just have faith, you know, quit being lazy, blah, 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 have faith. No, that's your walk. That's your struggle. Whatever you need to do by any means, do it. God has created where you can either go and work out on an exercise machine and slim, or you can go to a doctor and be like, you know what, I want to get this surgery done, you know, and you know, why knock it if you never experienced it? You know, that's like, I'm so sorry, y'all. It's just, you know, that's like my mom. My mom has been a very big supporter of me doing this. She has never knocked it. She's only tried to understand it. Her and one of my best friends, they will ask questions and say, well, wait a minute. So how do they get they will ask questions because until you are knowledgeable of everything, I feel like that's when you can start questioning things. When you become, you know, you have to know what you're talking about before you diss it. And so like my mom, she has never said, well, wow, and she go to church every day. She in the choir. She know God, you know, and Jesus is her best friend, and she got Jesus' number, his beeper number, his pager number. Now let me quit. But anyway, it's like, you know, she's never knocked me. She's like, so okay, so when is the next transfer? And it's very supportive. My dad never questioned it. My aunt, his twin sister. Now she'll preach all day and all night, and she had fertility issues. She lost, I think, about 3 or 4. She had 3 or 4 miscarriages, and she had to go through some type of surgery. She didn't have IVF, she didn't have IUI because this was back in like '89, and so they didn't have, you know, they probably was just starting that type of medicine. I'm not sure, but you know, she didn't have that. Or whatnot, but she didn't have to get her fallopian tubes removed either, so it was a little bit different. So anyway, she, you know, went through the whole having multiple DNCs and stuff like that, and you know, she's one of those, she's a firm believer as well, and she'll tell you in a minute. She was like, you know, you keep going, you believe, you know, you put your trust in God, and you pray that God work through those doctors. And so, you know, I've never had not a friend, not one single friend tell me, Quisha, don't go through IVF, just wait on God. Never. So I have a strong support system. I have a very strong support system. My husband, once we found out that, you know, oh, this is going to be what we have to go through, this is what he said. He said, you know what, we just got to do what we have to do. We just have to, you know, if we have to go this route, it's the route we have to do to have kids, you know, and so forth. Naturally, not naturally, biologically. So, you know, it's like, if this is what we have to do, this is what we have to do. So anywho, it's one of those things where I am, and if any of my friends and family is watching, thank you for your support. Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you, because there's some women out there that do not have that support, you know. And I've heard so many stories from other IVF friends, from in-laws, family, and so forth, that discourages them from even going through this route. And I don't understand it. You'll go to the doctor and have a doctor prescribe you some medicine that you don't even know what you're taking. You just taking it because the doctor said it's gonna make your headaches go away. It's gonna make your blood pressure go down. It's gonna make your sugar stabilize. It's gonna make you it's gonna make your stomach feel better. It's gonna make you do this. It's gonna make you do that. You know, and you believing that this medicine is going to do this, but then you turn around and look at someone, you know, like in our situation, and then say, why you ain't trusting God? Why ain't believing in God for that? You know, and I feel like that's just so mean to say that, you know. I'm not going to prolong this video, y'all. I can keep going on and on and on, but I had to come and say, I have y'all back. I have your back. I will be the voice of the IVF community as long as I live, even after I conceive. I have walked this path. I have lost, okay? Again, those that have never lost children would never understand the hurt and pain. Someone that never desired to have kids. There's people that never desired to have kids and have kids and be like, well, I don't understand why. You didn't grow up saying, you know what, I want to be a mommy one day. I did. When I was 12 and 10 playing with Barbie dolls, I knew I wanted to be a mom. I knew I wanted to have children. I knew I wanted a big family. I used to tell my mom I wanted 5 kids. Now that has since changed. Because when LeBron, you know, was born, and you know, he gave us a rude for our awakening. Like, oh my God, he cried and cried, and I was like, oh Lord, I don't want 5 anymore. But still, it's just everyone needs to be more considerate of everyone's journey, no matter what your journey is. Need to be considerate and respectful and mindful. And just know that this journey is not easy. Your support means more to someone that's struggling with infertility than you'll ever know. It means the world. I pray that one day all insurance companies and jobs will offer IVF coverage, because it's something that's not controllable. You know, you can't really control how the dice are rolled. But what you can control is you can save your money. You can save your money and save your pennies and your dollars, and then you can be able to afford IVF. God is still good. God is good through all the pain and all the hurt. He's still good. He's still good. Sometimes it's like looking back over everything, through the losses, the pain, the anger, it's still him. He didn't say, no, it's never gonna happen. It's going to happen. And if I gotta go through IVF again to make it happen, I am. That's my desire. That has been my only desire growing up. To be honest with you, I've never wanted something so much as I wanted to be pregnant, to feel that life inside of me, to be able to experience looking at a child and being like, oh my gosh, he or she has my eyes. I have I've always wanted that. And I say, you know, God is still good, because I thought I heard LeBron wake up, but God is so good, because I'm starting to I'm starting to be thankful for this journey. He could have had me on any other journey. And I thank him for this one. I do. I thank him for this journey. And I'm going to end it on that note. Again, I really hope that no one was offended by this video, because that's never my intent to offend anyone. My videos are for encouragement, enlightenment, educational, and just understanding. For those that are just beginning this journey, it's okay. It's okay. For those that are in the journey and still going, it's okay. It's okay. The ones that have closed the chapter and has had their babies, healthy babies, babies in their arms, that has went through IVF, a scientific method to give you your heart's desire. Yeah. And those are the ones that are proof to me that God works miracles through doctors too. God does. So we are going to encourage each other. We're not going to bash each other. We're going to encourage. We're all women. We are all designed the exact same way until something goes wrong. So we are to encourage one another as women. We are a category of our own outside of IVF. We are women. And as women, I feel like we already go through enough with not liking our bodies, no matter if we're skinny, big, short, tall, you know, whatever the case may be, whether we like our breasts, whether we don't. I don't like mine. You know, whatever the case may be, we need to encourage and enlighten one another. We need to speak positive to one another. We need to just be there for one another. Even after pregnancy, those that have struggled with breastfeeding, or, you know, the struggle of, so, you know, it's so many things. You know, there's people that went through IVF or got pregnant and then their husband leaves, or their family, you know, doesn't react the way they want to, or there's jealousy because they have a family and so forth and stuff, you know. And everybody wants something in life. Everybody has desire for something. And I'm sure once I get this baby or babies, however God wants to bless me, I'm sure it's gonna be another desire, because he never stops. Because I remember, I was like, Lord, if you bless me with a husband, I won't ask for nothing else. It's sound like he's up, but it's always something that we're gonna want, something that we're gonna need. And so the desires should never stop. We should always want something and aim for something and go out and get something. That should always be, that should always be our goal, is to try to achieve, you know, achieve something. So may God bless y'all. My heart, my thoughts, my love, my every fiber of my being is with y'all. Again, I have the infertility community's back. Just know that I'm in your corner, and we will get through this. Those that are trying to conceive and has never been diagnosed with any type of infertility, I have your back too. I know that desire, that yearn for having a child and not knowing what even's wrong with you. Doctors are still saying, you know, I don't know what's wrong with you, why you're not able to have kids. Your fallopian tubes are open, everything's fine, your uterus is healthy. I don't know why it's going on. My heart is out with you as well. Those that had to wait years and years, you know, of unknown, you know, not knowing but knowing that God is going to bless you, but the unknown in between, my heart is with you too. My heart is with those that have conceived naturally, you know, and then have other struggles. I'm never gonna what's the word? I'm never going to what's what I'm looking for? Y'all know the word I'm looking for. I'm never going to, it's over the D, no, not this. I don't know who's calling me. I've seen a number before, but I don't know who number that is. I don't answer numbers. I don't know. Seems like I know that number before. But anyway, discern. I'm never going to discern. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm never going to discern your journey. So whatever journey you on at this moment, I don't care what it is, I pray that God make it possible, whether it's through medicine, doctors, or just plain old happen naturally, whatever your journey is, you know. So I pray that that happens for you. So on that note, and last but not least, remember, faith without works is dead. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it's so long. I love y'all so much, and good luck with everything in life, and may you conquer all life's challenges. Peace. Bye. You're happy for them when they're pregnant. You pray that they have a healthy baby. At the same token, well, maybe not you, but me, I'm just like, man, I wish that was so me. So that's the first thing I can say.